MMA
Two, three, Mr. Dariush. What a pleasure, my brother. Thank you so much.
My pleasure, man. My pleasure.
How things are going with the? So we're hyping up that Tony Ferguson fight. How did you get the news? Probably the biggest fight of your career so far, I guess, right? Like, maybe not the toughest guy, because I mean he got a lot of tools. But I think the toughest guy you fought so far, it was Diego in his last fight, because he was coming from such a trend, and you too. It was an amazing fight to see.
Yeah, Tony might be the toughest guy I ever fought. He might not be. I won't know until after the fight.
Yeah.
On paper, he looks like he's the toughest guy I ever fought, for sure. And I'm trying to look at the best Tony. The Tony that beat Hoffa, the Tony that beat Kevin Lee, the guy who was just on a roll. So I'm focusing on him. With that being said, I agree with you. Diego was a beast, man. Diego.
Yeah.
The thing about Diego was, I just thought I was gonna be able to break him, and I pushed so hard. I put such a high pace, and he never broke. He actually, I felt like if necessary, he would dig deeper.
Yeah, so he was we could see it on that fight. He was such a war, and I had my heart broken because I'm friends with Diego, and I'm friends in a way with you too, because we know so much people like in common, and I can avoid but to get like a sympathy for the guys from Kings. I'm very good friends with Danilo. And I was like, let's go, Dariush. And then I was like, oh.
It's hard, It's
Yeah.
hard. That's the problem with MMA. There's so many nice guys, and not only are they nice, it's hard not to be fans. Sometimes they're not even nice, but you're still fans, And you're fans, you like so many people, so it's really difficult. I'm gonna fix my camera. I don't know why I keep slipping like that. I'm sorry.
No, it's all right. Looks great. Looks great.
Yeah, we're in the garage of my gym. I'm gonna jump back into training right after this. So
nice.
If it looks a little bit messy, but it's the real deal.
Where's your gym?
It's in California, Anaheim. It's a King's MMA, like Rafael Cordero. So I'm same lineage.
That's awesome. So how's training and how's the? I love I think Kings has one of those brotherhood, right? Like with everybody that trains there that you don't see everywhere, and that might be one of the reasons why like everybody push themselves so hard, and you can see like man, look at what's going on at with the guys from Kings right now. Like you have you fighting Tony Ferguson, you have Vettori fighting Kevin Holland now, right? They just changed it, but it's like everybody, it's on that. It's like so close to that gold, man. It's getting crazy.
Calvin's fighting Robert Whitaker. Marvin fighting...
Calvin, I forgot about Calvin. Calvin, forgive me, brother. Like, yes, Calvin's fighting Whitaker.
We got Calvin. We got Giga. We got Marvin. Fabricio's coming up on PFL. Danilo's fighting in June. We are in war. It's the best way to put it. Our guys know it. Like, guys show up, and it's happy and everything's good, but when the training starts, it's like you're at war. It's that kind of mentality, and I think that's one of the reasons why we're doing so good right now.
Yeah, I would agree, and like I say, like the brotherhood, it's crazy. I talk to Danilo a lot, and he goes like, "Oh man, I was training with him, and I was training with that." And it's like, "Oh, Vettori called me to come train with him, and I was training with Dariush today, and we push ourselves so hard." It's that like. I think they feel like they improving, It's like I think, oh my God, we give it all and we push each other to the top, and it's awesome. You can see the results too, right? It's crazy.
Yeah, what's great about it is there's guys with better tools. Like for example, I run a wrestling program, but if we need jiu-jitsu, we call Neiman. We call Fabricio. Neiman Gracie, Fabricio. Neiman just fought. In my opinion, he won the fight for sure.
Oh my God, he won that fight for sure.
I was really upset with that fight, but whatever. We'll move on to the next one. Neiman fought. He had a lot of battles just to go in that. He was.
I know. I heard.
His knee was not very good. He won't say it, but I'll say it. His knee was not very good, and I know he could do much better than that. So
For sure.
I'm looking forward to him fighting again. He's gonna show something special.
I just think it hurts because it's he was right there at the door for the I didn't even think he should have taken this fight. You know, he won against John Feet like fair and square, and I think on that fight he was the next one to go for Diego, and then they put another fight on him. This knee thing, it's been bothering him for a while now. He's gonna have to do something about it.
Yeah, and then the other thing with him is he's like, I haven't fought in so long. Like, you know, I'm a fighter. What am I supposed to do? I got to pay my bills. I got to take care of my family. So I got to fight. But, you know, that's what it is about Kings. We have guys who are good at everything. We have wrestlers. We have jiu-jitsu guys. We have strikers. And no one's like this where they say, no. I already know this. Everybody's like, oh, please show me. Please show me this. Please show me that. So I think that's what's happening right now. Everybody's growing from each other. We train so much with each other. Everybody's growing.
And it's crazy. When you think it can get any better, you get a wall like 7 feet tall striker. Danilo comes in, right? It's like, like, holy shit.
Man, you guys say striker, but when he grapples, I'm like, no, this guy's a grappler.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Well, he started in boxing. That's why I said, like, but now he's like a full-blown grappler. It's crazy.
It's amazing.
Crazy. He's been doing sparring his whole life with Fabricio Shogun and Demian Maia. I was like, this is like it's a once in a lifetime experience, right? For someone to get into martial arts. How did you get into martial arts? Like, how did you start it? I know you were like a jiu-jitsu world champion on collar belts and stuff like that.
I mean, I was going to college. I was in high school. I was about to finish high school, and I was about to go to college, and everybody's like, hey, you're gonna get fat in college. People study a lot, and they eat a lot, and they party a lot. And I was like, well, I don't want to get fat, you know? So I was like, I'll do something. And I hate working out. I hate lifting weights and things like that. I always tell my conditioning coach, you know, we have to find something to do after I retire because I'm never going to come here again. So with that being said, I looked into jiu-jitsu. I tried jiu-jitsu and I loved it. I went from training like once 3 to 4 times a week to every day to 2 times a day, and as soon as I started competing, I started winning. It was like it was a taste I had never had before. I couldn't get enough.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, and that's the thing, right? The more you train, the people don't get there. Like the more you train, the better you get. And if you don't train for like a week or 2, you can feel that too. Like people in the gym, they get so much better quick than you. It's crazy.
So one of the reasons I think you see a lot of fighters end up destroying themselves is because fighters have a addictive personality. Like you just mentioned, fighters know when they train, they get better. They're getting better and they're getting better. Mm-hmm. But when they find something else that's destructive, they do the same thing. They get addicted to that too, and then they end up destroying themselves. So that's the thing with fighters. We have this addictive personality, and we desire to grow. And if we can't fulfill that desire inside of MMA, unfortunately, we go other places and we end up destroying ourselves.
Yeah, that's true for like I think like most of the high level athletes, like maybe high level anything. They all a little bit. You guys are all a little bit crazy, right?
Yeah, and I think you have to be.
You have to. You got to be different. You got to be a little different. That's right.
Because top athletes, 99.9% of the population says, "Hey, not a good idea. Don't do this. Go do what everybody else is doing." So you have to be a little bit crazy. You don't just wake up and say, I'm a normal guy. I'm just gonna go do normal things and then end up here.
You can't. An average guy won't get the results you guys are getting. So it's different. You watch that? What is the Final Dance? See how crazy Michael Jordan was. Oh, the Last Dance. Dance.
Okay. I watched so many documentaries on Michael Jordan, so I haven't seen this. But like, for example, I know he would play pool with his friends, and if he lost the game, he would keep asking to play again and play again and play again until he won. If he didn't win, he would stop talking to his friends. He
It's
just stopped.
crazy, right? Like people say that. It's like he's one of the biggest jerks. Like he'll get mad at you for finishing your soda first or something like that. It's like
Something like that. And he had also problems with gambling. Like
yeah,
he hated the idea of losing. So
doesn't know how to lose.
Yeah, I didn't watch it, but I'm kind of familiar with him because Jordan
Yeah.
for us was the guy. So I always like to read about him and know more about him. And geez, man, when
It
I
was
found out about it, I
freaky,
was like,
right?
whoa, I was not expecting
Yeah.
that.
He was freaky on that documentary. They show little stuff like mental stuff, right? Because it's not about him, but it became about him, right? Because they're talking about the whole Chicago Bulls team on the documentary.
Yeah.
But you can't help just to think about everything that he's doing. He will get a guy like the director of the Bulls will make like a nice reference to a player that's on a different team, and he will make a point. Jordan will make a point to humiliate that guy in the game just because the guy from it's crazy, you know.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's like, but that's the kind of mentality that took him there too, right? It's like,
Yeah.
and that's kind of what we're talking about. Like, you guys have to be a little. You know, you have to. That there's just
You know what's funny? Like people always saying, "Oh, fighters need to be different. You wanna stand out. You have to be different." Blah blah blah. Well, to be different, you got to think different. And
Yeah.
so, like when you get these guys who think different, you're like, "What the heck? Why is he like this?" It's like you've been asking for this, and now all of a sudden you're saying, "Why is he like this?" That's the thing. That's the interesting. I never understood. Like I just don't get you want this. But then when you get it, you're like, why is he like this?
Yeah,
You know?
that's right. That's right. Like, and you were always such a like a nice guy, very polite when you talk on interviews and stuff like that. You got a little off on your last fight. You seem like you were upset. What happened there? You had a little moment there, right?
I was frustrated, man. I was frustrated. One, why am I fighting Diego right now? Shouldn't we be fighting maybe even for the title? The man was on a 6 or 7 fight win streak. He was
Same as you. You're on a 6-fight win streak, right?
Yeah, I had a 5-fight win streak. He had a 6-fight win streak. He hadn't been beaten, I think, in 5 or 6 years. He beat a lot of the best guys in the world, and you know, I think he deserved an opportunity to fight a top level guy, and I felt the same thing for me. You know, I've been in the top 10, top 15, whatever, for a very long time. So I was just asking for an opportunity. And then instead of that happening, and I was pissed with the UFC, but then I see the UFC trying. The UFC sending my name to these guys, and all these guys saying no, no, no. So that was another thing that really frustrated me. I kept getting these guys who were supposed to say yes, but they kept saying no. So and then I'm assuming they did the same thing for Diego. So we ended up fighting each other. That made me really upset. And that's kind of where that came from. All that energy came from. I was just so upset. Like, I was tired of other fighters looking at me and saying, "You're low reward, high risk." No, thank
Exactly.
you.
You had the same problem, and you had a little chapter with Charles Oliveira too, but I think you guys were having the same. Charles was going big, talking about that. Say, look, the top 5, top 6, like top 5 up, they don't want to fight us. They just like they want to fight between them, and if you rank like number 8, they won't fight you because and he was talking about like that little top 5 group, like that they don't fight anyone else out of there. And he was really pissed about it. But then you had a thing with him, and kind of that fight fell too,
so
right?
Exactly same thing. And then once he got into the top 5, he's like, you know what? I like this club.
I'm gonna do the same, right? But that's kind, yeah. That I get it too, man. I get it too. Like it's I think it's a tough spot to be put on, right? It's like, hey, you're gonna fight a guy that's ranked what you like number 7 now, right?
I don't know, but at the time I was ranked top 15, so they were not happy with. I don't know what I'm ranked, 8 or 9 right now, 7.
Now you're number 9. Yeah.
And at that time I think I was 14 or 15. So he's like, no thanks. I think he was number 6. He's like, no,
You might be in that little group soon. Because look,
you never know. You never
Tony
know.
Ferguson is the number 5. So we've been seeing places being traded, but it's a killer division, right? What do you think about this whole Khabib thing? And they finally, do you agree with Dustin Poirier not fighting for the belt and just going after the big money?
Well, for me, no. I would fight for the belt, but Dustin is in a different point in his career. He's thinking other things, which is fine. Go do your thing. I started this game to be the best, and the belt is kind of proof of that. So I would go for the belt, but I get his part too. He says, I've been in this long enough. I need to figure out my retirement plan or something like that. I don't know what he's thinking, but
that makes sense.
Something along those lines.
Well, so he's beating Conor. That's gonna put him right there too. So it's right.
I mean, he got one fight, and I'm sure he didn't get the. For example, in the second fight they had with each other, he won the fight, but I'm sure in terms of negotiations, he didn't have what he wanted. He didn't get the numbers that he wanted, right? It's obviously not going to be the numbers. Now that there's a rematch, he's going to get different numbers. He's going to get better numbers. And this is what basically he was going. This is probably the one that really makes him, So I get it. I get why he does that. I guess the difference with Dustin and I would be like, right now, I'm not thinking that far ahead. I'm not thinking about money that far ahead. I'm more of a live by the day kind of thing.
You look more like a down to earth guy too, and you have your family and you have your business and everything. Look, you were born in Iran, right?
Yeah.
And you moved. Do you remember anything from? I'm saying this like my whole family on my father's side, it's from Lebanon, and they immigrated to Brazil very young. Not my case though. I was born in Brazil, and but you came here like what? You're like 10 years old, 9 years old, something like that.
Yeah, I remember a lot, and I used to even go back during the summer until I turned 18. Once you turn 18, there's a 2-year military draft. They don't let you leave the country anymore. So, So I was there. Yeah, I remember Iran. One of the reasons why we were able to leave Iran was because we're Assyrians. Assyrians are predominantly Christian. So
yeah,
that was one of the reasons why we were able to get out of Iran and come to America. And my parents wanted me to be a doctor or a lawyer or accountant, and now
they all do, right? It's like it's all the same. Yeah, I hear that too. My father's a doctor, and 2 of my cousins are doctors too.
Exactly. Every Middle Eastern person, like, why aren't you a doctor? Why aren't you a lawyer?
I'm pretty sure they're happy now. They probably were not happy before. The journey, it's complicated, but now you're picking up the fruits of that, right?
I was a black sheep. I'm telling you, man. I was a black sheep in my family. They're just like, this guy, what is he thinking? What is he doing? But man, by God's grace, somehow I'm back in the family, and not only back, but like they love it. They love it. We talk more about fighting than we do any other job. Like they don't want to. When I see them, I ask them about their jobs, and they're like, yeah, don't worry about it. Let's talk about you. I'm like, man, that's awesome. It's just, I don't know what to say. It's really cool. I think it's really cool.
That is awesome, because I can see the same thing with me. Like I finished college, I moved to America, and I delivered papers for many years until I got a shot to open my company. Now I do a podcast. So my brother's a doctor, and I'm doing a podcast in New York.
And that's where it's at. There you go.
If it works, man, whatever, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. Look, let's take a look at the division, and I want you to talk about this Tony Ferguson fight a little more, just a little deeper, and what are the tools you think he can bring, and the tools you think you gonna bring. I don't think that Tony Ferguson that fought Charles is the same Tony Ferguson that we saw before. That was something off. And I think he made a big mistake on that Justin Gage fight fight when he cut weight twice in 30 days or something like that. I think that took a toll on him. And what kind of Tony you expecting? And without revealing too much, what tools you think you can like cancel on the old Tony? Very awkward style too, right?
So with Tony, I like you said, I don't look at the Charles fight. I don't look at the Justin fight. I want to look at the best Tony. Yeah. And how do you beat that guy? How do you beat a guy who's so funky, who's just weird everywhere? And I think the answer to that is you have to be willing to go deeper into a dark place, I guess, because he's willing to drag you into deep waters, right? Are you willing to go into deep waters? And if you're willing to go in deep waters, okay, that might make the fight close. But if you want to beat Tony, are you willing to push him even deeper into the water? Are you willing to, everybody keeps talking to me about my game plan. I don't really have a game plan yet for Tony, but I keep joking and saying the game plan is to out crazy Tony. So that's what I've been saying. But we'll see. I don't know how it's gonna be.
I think you been showing this along your career, and look, the last 5 fights you got either performance of the night or fight of the night on 4, and you've been going to these dark places. We've been seeing you like going to trade punches, even if it's not the right thing to do at that moment. You've been going a little crazier, and I love that, and I think it's been showing you results. That's why you keep going for it, right? It's like what goes through your head? Like, you used to be a lot safer, like a play safer, I would say. When did that change?
I don't know. That's the thing. So I when I got told I was gonna fight Tony, I called Master Rafael, and I had a talk with him, and I was like, Master, for this fight, I really want to control my emotions. And he's like, for sure, son, for sure. We're gonna work on it.
You're talking to the wrong guy.
Yeah. I want to control my emotions. I want to go out there and I want to be composed and do all the things that I'm gonna do. But I don't know, man. Maybe God is telling me, you're too calm and too cool too much. Sometimes you need to just go. You need to just let it go. And I'm not complaining. Like you said, 4 out of the last 5 fights were bonuses. It would have been 5 if I hadn't missed weight, which was the first time for me.
I know.
So I don't know if I want to change it. But at the same time, is this a style that could last me forever? I don't, I could do this long term. When I shouldn't say forever. Can I fight like this for a long time? I don't know. I'm in a weird place in my life. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm in a really strange place because I have this style right now that is very effective, but it's the chances of crashing and burning are very high every time I step in there as well.
That's true. But the other thing that's scary too is like you just get into your prime, right? You're 31 years old.
I feel like it.
I
feel like it.
It's like the prime goes from 29 to 34, 33. They say like the professional. Look it up because it's.
I don't know. If you asked me at 27, I'd say, "Oh yeah, I'm in my prime." When you asked me at 28, I would have said the same thing.
Yeah.
I remember going through 29. It was 28 and 29. I was going through some shoulder and neck problems and back problems that really kind of slew me down. I started to feel like, I can only train once a day, and sometimes I couldn't even train. But ever since I've taken care of that, I feel like I'm 18 again. I train 2 to 3 times every day. I eat a ton. Everything's
life is good.
The only difference is between when I was 18, I got a lot of back pain. I'm constantly like, every morning.
That's that jiu-jitsu, man. There's no way out of it.
Yeah, every morning I wake up, my back hurts, but it hurts for 15, 20 minutes. I'll have a hot coffee, and we're back. We're 18 again. It's as my sensei likes to say, it's time for porrada. So
that's awesome. That's Romulo, right?
Yeah, Romulo. Well, his thing is everyday porrada. So
Everyday porrada. It's all. I love Romulo. I'm very good friends with Tulio too. I think I'm recording with Felipe Pena this week too.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
that guy is so good. That guy's jiu-jitsu, there it is. You want to talk about good jiu-jitsu? Don't get me wrong. Gordon is the man. He's doing everything right now. But I'm telling you, if Philippe shows up like he can, he's unbeatable. He's so scary.
That's what everybody's banking on.
Yeah, he's technically so proficient. He's so tenacious. He's just not willing to lose until he sees his opponents break. He doesn't give up. So if Philippe shows up like he should, he's honestly, I don't see anyone beating him.
Yeah, we did a breakdown. I recorded with Felipe last year, and I did a breakdown with him commenting on that fight, that 40-minute long fight with Gordon. We catch, I think, the 10 last minutes on the Studio 47 or something. That's what it's called.
Studio 540.
540, yeah, and he was breaking down some techniques and stuff like that. It's just amazing to see, right? And he's such a creative guy. I think Gordon became the perfect American, right? Like you're gonna relate to that because the Americans they are very they follow, like whatever you give them, they follow like step by step, but they don't go out of the way to make something different, right? Like, so for Gordon to get someone's back, he needs to go from here to there to there to there. And Felipe just can just jump it because he just have that creative thing that's different, I think.
He seems to have scrambles that are just different because even when he took Gordon's back, he took it from a bad position. He was in a position that normally you'd be like, oh, dude, that's not good, you know? And then all of a sudden it's on the back and you're like, what the heck that happened? So I've seen him do that a lot. And, you know, I used to train with him. When we were brown belts, we were brown belts together. We used to have battles at Gracie Baja, Northridge. We used to just – it was the hardest training of my life was the camp I did with Romulo Barral. And it was Romulo, it was Felipe and I. We had
Gabriel.
We had Gabriel Argus, Edwin Najmi. We had, let's see, who else was there? We had Bruno was there. Man, there were so many guys. Rodrigo was there. Diego was there. There were so many guys. It was so intense. And I remember after that camp was over, a lot of guys just disappeared for a little bit. Like they didn't even want to talk about jiu-jitsu.
It's tough. It's a tough commitment too, right? Like you commit so much, and you exchange so much that you just have that. Stay away for a while.
You're like, I need this off of me. Like I need to wash this off of me. I need to go eat Nutella for a week or something. I need to just get this off of me.
What camp was that for? For which fight?
It wasn't an MMA fight. It was the jiu-jitsu. And we were it was the 2012 world
for when you were a brown belt.
Yeah. So 6 months I stayed with Romulo. I stayed from December all the way to May or June with Romulo.
Oh wow.
And it was brutal. It was just brutal.
His work ethics it's crazy, right? He's a guy that he works so hard for everything. It's like, so I admire that a lot because I don't have that on me, and I admit it. You need to be a special kind of human to be like that, you know. And I'm not like that, and I'm not embarrassed to say it. It's like I have different qualities, but I admire that a lot. It's not even envy. It's just like I say, holy shit, how can a guy be like that? He's like the everyday porrada thing. Like, let's say that's it. Say you got it. You found your thing.
That camp, that 6 months changed the way I looked at everything. It changed the way I looked at my life because now every time I would do something, I would say to myself, am I doing this the best that I can? The way I train MMA, I would look at it and say, you know, I did one practice in the morning. I'm doing another one, but could I have done more? Every day at everything I look at, even to this day, I always say, Could I have done more? And that's still from that camp.
Yeah.
That camp was so brutal. It completely changed the way I looked at training.
Yeah, that's awesome. Have you ever sat with Rafael Cordeiro and watched some old Pride fights, like Vanderlei fights, and you ever did that?
It's so cool.
How does it? It's cool. Fucking great, right?
and not even just Vanderlei's fights, his fights. Yeah,
yes.
He, get his phone and he'd start showing me, and then he'd tell me about the fight. And I don't remember which fight it was, but he had like a 30-minute Vale Tudo fight, no gloves, and he was just so banged up. He was so messed up, and he went out. He went out before Vanderlei. I think it was whatever amount of time it was. It was a 30-minute fight. He wins. He comes back, and then Vanderlei goes out, and Vanderlei comes right back in. And Rafael says, like, "What's going on? Everything good?" He's like, "Yeah, I won." And and like, he was so messed up, he didn't realize what happened, like how time was passing.
Shit.
And then afterwards, he just laid there on Vanderlei's lap for I think like an hour or two, and until he could finally get up and move.
Oh,
and
wow.
And I was like, wow, that tells you the UFC today is built on this. It's built on the blood and the sweat and the tears of these pioneers. Like, this is what we're built on. Like, our generation, everything we have right now, this is what it's built on. And another cool story about that was, Vanderlei, I don't remember who he fought, exactly who the fight was, but it was in Bellator. And after the fight, it was the same thing. Vanderlei came back into the room and he just laid on Master's lap for I think over an hour, because same thing. He just
gave himself so much, right? It's great.
That's the thing. That's the cool thing. When I look at those guys, I just remember, like, that's what we're working on. We're working on the shoulders of giants. That's what we're building on. So, if you ever feel like, oh, MMA is so big because of me, or MMA is this, that, it's not. It was the people before you, And,
I think it completes. I think it completes each other. I don't think we will be here without Pride or the old UFCs, or even before that, the Vale Tudos in Brazil. Like those crazy Vale Tudo fights. That's where it all started, actually. So
right, if it wasn't for those, MMA wouldn't have started in the States, and then obviously Japan had it, but it was never really that much internationally. It was Japanese thing until the Brazilians kind of came in, and then the Russians came in, and then it became something different. It became something bigger. So you just got to know your you're walking on the shoulders of giants. That's the best way to put it.
I think one of the greatest moments on this podcast. I did a podcast with Master Hickson, and after doing a private class with him when I was in California 2 years ago, and then I did a podcast with Vanderlei Silva, and we were watching his fight with
Sakuraba.
No. Rampage Jackson.
Rampage.
Yeah, because I was looking behind because I have a little.
Yeah.
This guy.
Or a little Rampage, yeah.
So, and I had almost like a out of body experience, because I was like sitting kind of sideways. He was watching the fight on the TV, and I could see he's getting hyped up. And I'm just watching my screen here, and I was like, I can't believe I'm doing this. I have Vanderlei Silva watching Vanderlei Silva fighting on Pride. I was like, I had a moment. My wife watched that. She was like, "You look like you're not there." I was like, "Yeah, I wasn't. I was having like a crazy moment."
You know what you mentioned to me that it's a little bit scary, like. When Vanderlei, because I've seen him, I watch his own fights. He gets really tense, and he starts thinking about it. I worry I'll be retired, and every time somebody puts on my fights or talks about my fights, and all of a sudden I'll want to get the itch again. I'm a God-fearing
That
man.
happens.
When God tells me you're done, I want to be done. I don't want to think about it anymore. But I have this fear, like I'm gonna be done one day, and then I'm gonna want to go back. And I that's one of the things I am afraid of. I hope I can control myself. When you're in it, you say, I'm sick of it. I don't want it anymore. But when you're away from it, you can't stop thinking about it. It's a really weird complex we have.
You ever been into a battle like almost like to Rafael's and Van experience, like you don't remember a few rounds and you just got to take your time? It's anything crazy like that?
Let's see.
That you remember? It's like, no, I don't remember any. It's like, all right, we got it.
A lot of my fights are like that. A lot of fights are like that. A lot of people, people talk about the Drakkar fight. Like they say, oh, were you hurt? Were you hurt? To be honest with you, I really didn't feel hurt. But I had fights with like guys like Michael Johnson. He actually hit me, and I was like, oh crap, I'm in trouble. And I've had KO losses, so I've had wars where I got knocked out, and then afterwards I was like, what the heck happened, And so I've had those experiences. I've had the good experiences. I've had the bad experiences. I've had good fights and then bad experiences after the fight. I've had fights where I win, and then afterwards I'm like, I can't see. My head hurts. My legs hurt.
Shit.
Like I can't walk well. My feet are swollen. It's man, this is gonna be my 20th fight in the UFC. So I've been.
That's crazy, right?
I've been around the block.
I know too, and I was looking at some of that. We forget that, because you were always there, like always right there, and I was like, I'm looking here. I was like, holy cow, he had a lot of fights.
If you ask me right now who I fought like in a row, I can't tell you. But if you tell me the name of the person, I can tell you how the fight went. It's so weird. It's
really.
It's so weird how that works. I can't. Like, I'm trying to think of the list of the guys I fought in the UFC
I have it right in front of me. You want a quick memory lane? Let's go.
Yeah, sure.
So, Charlie Brenneman.
Short notice, 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Minute and 45 minutes, 45 seconds.
Yes, submission, rear neck choke, yes. And then you got a loss for Ramsey Nijim.
Yeah, first round, TKO.
Then you get your first win streak, Anthony Rocco Martin.
Yeah.
Then you fight Carlos Diego Ferreira for the first time.
Yeah.
Darren Kruzichenk.
That's right.
It says it's a catch.
Now.
That was in 2015. That's like 6 years ago.
Yeah, man.
Jim Miller, who's fighting this Saturday too.
What a stud, man. That guy.
Right?
He just won't go away.
And I think he had a lot of issues with like Lyme disease issues or something like that.
Yes.
Right?
He's got he had Lyme disease, and he's cut. I think
he was still fighting. He never told anyone.
Yeah, he has like 40 fights now, and he's like, yeah, I just treat it, I deal with it, whatever, and then go.
See, but when? Just now? It's like, no, it's been going on for the last 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
Like, holy shit! How can this guy do such a savage, right?
Yeah.
And then Michael Johnson, but you got a Michael Johnson that was on his prime there, right? Like it's not.
He was.
I think we saw the best of him already.
Yeah, I beat him, and then he came back and knocked out Dustin Poirier, and so
yes.
he was on fire back then. He was very good.
Then you fought Michael Chiesa. You lost on a submission there, which I don't think will ever happen again now with the level of your jiu-jitsu and grappling now. But Michael Chiesa went up too. Like he's a giant now. You see, that guy was always so big.
Yeah, that fight was so weird because if you watch the fight in the first round, some people think it was a 10-8 round for me. It was easily, and then in the second round, it wasn't anymore, and I just kind of shut down. And good for him. He kind of persevered through the tough parts and came back strong. And they always say, oh, you can't change your heart or whatever. You can. You just have to be willing to face your demons and things like that. That was something I really had to recognize. I was not at that time. I was not willing to dig that deep. But after that fight, I decided I was gonna dig as deep as I needed to win.
So what are you referring to? Like you gassed out trying to finish him on the first?
It's more mental.
Just like I couldn't finish him and just kind of like give up kind of thing. Not give up, but you get what I mean. Like mentally, right?
I think it's, for example, at that time, I had just finished fighting Michael Johnson, and a lot of people thought I lost. It was a controversial split decision.
Yes, I remember that too. A bunch of media sources saying
a lot of people were talking that way, and then I was hearing the UFC complaining about me, saying like they weren't happy with the fight, and like this was the first time I've had such a bad energy from everywhere, and it was new to me. I didn't really know how to deal with that, and so I went into that fight not focused on Chiesa, and everything was good the first round, and then the second round it wasn't. You know what I mean? Like I was so focused on the world around me, I couldn't focus on the man in front of me, and so I've decided after that, like, I was gonna put everything aside when I have someone in front of me. I don't care what's going around me. I'm gonna make sure I show up, and I show up the best that I can be. And it was mentally I was weak. That's what I mean. Mentally I had to dig deeper. That's what I mean. I had to dig deeper. I had to be willing to fight off from all sides.
It's a different situation too that comes with more experience, right? Would you agree? Like you just learn either not to care or not to be bothered by, right? Something like that.
No,
it's tough not to care, right? Because it's like it's you there. It's a different. It's not a team. We say it's a team, but it's on fight time. It's you.
You know what helps me? I'll be honest with you. The thing that helps me a lot is I just put myself in other people's shoes. I say, why do they think like this? Well, maybe they're a fan of my opponent, or maybe the guy's having a hard day. That's why he's writing me such a terrible message. Maybe, I ever since I started doing that, it made my life a lot easier. And I think this is another thing, just God's grace is helped me to become so patient, because I was such an impatient person, and I think that's another thing that's changed. I've been able to just put myself in other people's shoes, so that's helped me a lot. But yeah.
We can kind of see that in your look now, and when you smile, like it looks like you're in peace. I mean it. It's like after that fight with Diego, I saw your interview, and besides that little moment when you come back for the scrum, right? Like the interview. You're like much more relaxed, and we could see how thankful you were for your victory, and you talk so well, and you express yourself. I was like, he's in a different level. You can see that mentally, and with all the experience you got, it's beautiful to see.
That's the 19 fights in the UFC maturity,
right? That's true. Exactly.
Yeah, so a lot of it is maturity, man. It's been a great experience. I don't know what's going to happen for the rest of my career, but so far it's been great.
We'll be here by your side watching. Let's just wrap this up, the list here.
Let's go.
So then you go, you win against James Vick. You move to Rashid Magomedov. Man,
this guy Rashid, undefeated in the UFC. I mean, so was James Vick at the time, but Rashid, nobody wanted to fight him. I was ranked ahead of him, and it was such a bad situation. Like they even had me as the underdog against him. Like they were so sure this guy was gonna beat me. So that was a fight I trained so hard for. I remember training with Hoffa because Hoffa was getting ready for Tony, and I was getting ready for this guy, and that was the hardest training camp of my life.
Wow, it's does it bother you when you do you get hooked up on this he's the favorite, I'm the underdog? What does it bother you at all?
In the beginning, for sure. Not so much now. I get it. Like they're just taking all the details. They're trying to look at all the people you fought, all the people they fought. For example, with Diego, I beat Diego. The first time I beat him, I was a 2-1 underdog or 3-1 underdog. I beat him. I'm fighting him again, and I'm not the favorite. We were just even. We were like so close.
Huh.
I get it. They're assessing the risk. And
yes, that's exactly what it's. That's exactly what I think. I don't think that it's about the fighter. It's about the betting odds.
Exactly.
It's the risk where your money is gonna go.
You have two of the dark horses in the divisions. Both guys are like, they're not well known, but they could beat anybody on any given day. And so with that, like, who do you pick? So and I think that's what that was.
Exactly. That's exactly it. And I think it counts a lot on how did you perform on your last fight, and you guys have been doing so great. So that's just another problem for them to solve, right?
Yeah,
like, I don't think anyone made money on that fight.
Exactly. I don't know. Shoot, I wouldn't even bet on that fight.
Then you go and fight Edson Barboza. You get that. It's one of Edson's highlight, right? Like that flying knee.
Yeah, it is what it is. You know, it was a good fight. I was doing my thing. I was pressuring.
You were doing your thing. I remember that too.
And then he pulled out the flying knee. Good for him, man. You know, again, lesson learned.
Then we have the draw against Ivan Dunham, and the loss against Alexander Ramirez. That's the first time you lost like 3 in a row, right? You have 4 losses.
That was the hardest time of my life.
I know. I can imagine.
That was the longest 2 years of my life. And I just got to say, man, and if like God kept me sane, because I was on the verge of like retiring. I was like, I can't keep doing this like this. Everything was just not clicking. Just everything. I was going through a really hard time, but God just kept me sane, and now we're here. I
say that all the time. This is such a mental game, right? Because you were not a worse fighter. Maybe you're just not there mentally. That makes sense?
Yeah. Exactly. So that's...
Yeah. Then you fight Thiago Moises. He's coming strong too. Now this kid improved so much.
He's a stud. I remember after the fight, I went to his coaches and I said, "Hey, this kid's a stud." Yeah. I was really nervous for that fight. I remember grabbing him and I just been squeezing as hard as I can. I remember squeezing like I was trying to just break his ribs just to squeeze him. And I just remember he stayed patient in every position, and he almost tapped me with the guillotine. And in every position, he never gave up. And I was like, man, this kid's going to be special for sure.
Yeah, he's got such a good jiu-jitsu too. Then you win against Drew Dober. Frank Camacho, 2 submissions in a row.
Yeah, almost got knocked out by Drew. Man, that guy's got some. He's got some fire in his hands.
Performance. That was the first performance of the night. I mean, the second.
Yeah, that was
because you got a performance of the night against the Darren. I don't know how to say his Krug.
Darren Cruikshank, yeah.
Cruikshank, yes. So that was your first performance of the night. Then you got the second one against Drew Dober, and that's again in a row. You got a performance of the night against Frank Camacho, submission rear neck choke. You remember well that fight?
Yeah, that was... My family loves that fight because they say it was your cleanest fight. Please fight like that all the time.
Right?
And I tell them it's not that simple. It's just not that simple. Actually, the next fight they want me to fight, you're gonna say soon. So just keep going.
Okay, and then you got the Drakkar Close.
They say never do that again. That's the fight they say don't ever do that again.
That's awesome. Performance of the night again. Yeah. Whatever you did will earn you an extra 50 G's, man. So that's good. Yeah. Then you got Scott, and you look at the evolution, right? You go from like a grappler based guy, and now like you KOing people like a Drakkar Close. He was a KO on the second round. Then a spinning back fist on Scott Hotzman on the first round. So Mr. Striker.
I don't even throw spinning back fists that much, and I think I have like one in one of my fights, but somehow it happened. I don't know, man. That was it was really weird. I had one of my friends' son. He was messaging me saying, "Hey, you should do a spinning back fist. You should do a spinning back fist." And I said, "Okay, I'll think about it. I'll think about it." But that's another fight. My family always says, "Hey, if you're gonna fight like that. You were so calm. Please do that more." I was like, all right, sure.
Say, all
sure.
right. Then you go and you fight Diego the way you fought Diego. That's a no-go for the family, right? It's
no, I remember I called my mom first, and she was crying. She was so upset.
Holy shit.
She was drinking wine, and she was crying. And I was like, what are you crying about? She was so stressed out. She's
such a tough fight.
She said she was so stressed. She couldn't help it. My friends basically said, a lot of my friends, they said the same thing. And then I called my wife. My wife was pissed. My wife was very pissed.
I remember. I think you mentioned something like that on the press conference, right?
She's like, just get back to the room. Just get back to the room. I'll talk to you when I see you. I said, okay. She to this day, she still gives me crap for it.
But you know, I can see from her eyes what she's saying, because I think you had it, but like you were saying, like you had to go deeper, right? Like and you were risking so much. That's kind of what we were thinking. It's like, why is he doing that? Holy shit! It's crazy. It was crazy to see, man. It was crazy to see.
Yeah, but it was a moment.
Hey, it worked, man. It worked. He was such a warrior. So look, we looking at what now? 6 weeks for your Tony Ferguson fight?
Yeah, 6 weeks.
May 15, right?
Yeah.
So this is what we're gonna do. Go do your thing. It's like I'm pretty sure, like I am 100% with you, because I'm always there with you. And after that fight, we'll come back here and we'll do a breakdown. I'm gonna put that fight on the screen and we'll watch it together, and you'll talk to me. You guide us through it.
For sure, bro. After the Tony fight,
awesome.
I'm gonna take a good break. I'm gonna have a daughter, so I'm gonna be. Nice. I'll be holding my daughter, and I'll be telling you what's going on in the fight.
You're gonna love it. It's your first daughter?
Yeah, it's my first child.
Oh man, it's. I have a 9-year-old daughter, and it changes your life. Like, forever. I'm with you. I have 2 nieces, and they're incredible. So I didn't, like, everybody's like, oh, you want a boy, right? You want a boy? I was like, no, actually, I kind of want a girl. You want. She's gonna snuggle with you. Sometimes I go sleep like so late, like 4 o'clock in the morning. Sometimes, sometimes I sleep on the guest room. In the morning, she opens the door, she crawls into the bed, and I was like, "Hey, good morning." She's like, "I just want to snuggle with you, Daddy." It's like it melts your heart. It's just like, that's it. And then like my parents come here, it's like, you buy her too much toys and too much stuff. I was like, yeah, just try to say no to her.
Yeah,
it never works. It's easy to say it. And then we go out and he buys whatever she asks. And I was like, look at you. He's like, well, it's impossible to say no to her. I was like, oh, there you go. You get it.
Exactly. My nieces, my sister always like, hey, quit buying them stuff. I'm like, dude, I see them once a week. What do you want from me? Like, how am I supposed to say no? So it is what it is.
Look. It's I wish you the best always, brother. You're such a great guy. You're such an inspiration. And I'm a big fan. I said that from the beginning. I get that right out of the first text message. Say, hey, I go all polite. Hey, thank you so much. I say, hey, I'm a big fan, man. That's great.
Thank you, brother. So we're definitely gonna do that breakdown. I'm looking forward to it.
Sounds good. I'm looking forward to it.
Goes well.
Hey. Awesome 6 weeks left of training. Say hi to the guys at Kings, Danilo, Verdun, Kelvin. Kelvin has a battle coming. And
he's ready.
I'm sending all all the positive vibes I can, and we'll get it done.
Sounds good, brother.
Thank you so much. Beneil Dariush. Let's go, man.
Let's go.
Awesome. Thanks, brother. Take it easy.